Hi there, my name is Cole, and in today's video I'm going to be building the Porsche 968 Lart in Lego. Now I bet that like 2 people watching this video know what that is, so let's explain. But before we get started, there are no instructions for this model for the second video in a row because it's a really simple model, and I'll kind of explain that as I get into the video and I explain what the car is. You are free to try and replicate it from the video, but yeah, not going to be making, at least I'm not planning on making any instructions. Maybe if like 200 people say they want instructions, I'll make them, but at the moment, not planning on it. Alright, so what is the 968 Lart? So first, I have to explain a couple things. Some of you may know what the Porsche 968 is, which is a 1990s, maybe even 80s, probably just 90s, I don't know that much about it. It's a Porsche sports car. It is not the 911, which is the one everyone talks about if you're not familiar with Porsches. So now that we have that out of the way, that's a Porsche 968. Next up, we have a car dealership in Paris known as L'Art de l'Automobile, which I'm pretty sure stands for something like the art of the automobile, something like that. They sell a lot of really cool cars, and I highly recommend you follow their Instagram. They also make some really cool merchandise, clothing. I guess they're a fashion brand to an extent. I don't know. It looks really cool, and I would like to buy some, but I don't have that type of money. So for now, I just like to stare at their Instagram page. Anyway, so there's our second element. Now, L'Art de l'Automobile is a bit maybe different than most car dealerships. Like I just mentioned, they have the merchandise thing, and they're a bit more, I guess they're very specialized, I guess you would say. And so a little while ago, they worked with Porsche to create this concept car type of thing, basically what if this car existed, and basically they made this really cool looking Porsche 968. It had been like reworked, reshaped, remodeled, something, and it looked like this, and it looks really sick. And I had seen this a while back. I can't even remember when they revealed this, but either way, I remember seeing it and I remember thinking, that looks really cool. I would like to build that sometime. And I never really got around to it until I got some of these fenders in green. I was thinking of what cars I could build with these fenders, and I was like, oh, I could build that Porsche sometime. And I didn't really get around to it, and I was thinking about other stuff I could build with it. And eventually I see a thing on Instagram that there's going to be a car show within range of me, I guess, where the 968 L'Art de l'Automobile will be on display. So I'm like, hey, that's great. Let me try and whip together a model of it in like 3 or 4 days, I think it was. And I managed to do it. I had to order like 2 sets to get enough green parts. And even then I only had 3 fenders, so I had to go with 1 lime green fender. But I was able to get it together relatively quickly. I wanted to do a design process video, but I was doing it so quickly I didn't get around to it. And I took it to a car show, which is always a really nice, awkward experience to take a model car along to a car show. Either way, I got some pictures with the car. I got a picture with the dude who runs L'Art de l'Automobile, Mr. Arthur Carr. His name is literally Carr, which is pretty cool. And that was not something I expected at all. And overall, it was very cool. And that is the story of how I built this car and, well, what it is, I guess. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the model itself. Alright, so let's talk about the design of the actual model a little bit. Now the real car is a very unique looking car. It's very smooth and streamlined, and there's not many details on it, so it's interesting to build in Lego. The Lego model is very simple, which is why I haven't bothered to make instructions for it, because I think you'll be able to replicate it if you want to. I will explain how some parts of it go together, because they are a little bit complicated and they're kind of interesting how they go together. The front, we have a pretty simple sideways built-on bumper, and then using a bracket to hold the upper part of the bumper at an offset height. And then there's just some tiles in there to represent I guess what are the headlights in the real car. The hood is a combination of curved slopes and some tiles on a hinge brick. Moving back, the sides are just really simple, just mostly plates and curved slopes. Those are just on sideways building, studs not on top, snot bricks, whatever you want to call them. The interior is incredibly simple. Like I said, this whole thing was thrown together really fast, but even if I had a lot of time, I'm not sure I would have made it much more complicated, because there's not much to the real car. It's a very simple real-life design, which is cool. The windscreen is very simply hinged backward on a hinge brick. Around the back, the rear bumper is a combination. The very bottom is attached upside down with clips and tiles with bars. On top of that, you have more sideways building for the middle part of the bumper. And the top is attached much like the front bumper on a bracket to get it at the right height. And there is a light bar at the rear, which is just some plates and tiles. It's very simple. The seats and kind of, I guess, the top of this rear area are one big piece that all connects to some various bar and clip pieces to hold them at an angle. And then this whole rear, I believe they refer to as flying buttresses on supercars, so I think that's what they refer to here. This whole thing is built both upwards and sideways, and this just connects with a robot arm to a bar inside the car. Another thing you'll notice is that this car has asymmetrical wheels with this really kind of cool weird flat wheel design that the real car has. And so I've replicated it here with a round brick, a round, I guess a boat tile I've heard referred to as, and then just an axle, and you slide the tire over that, and it doesn't spin, although with some modification it can be made to spin. If you saw the last video, you may have seen me attempt to explain cool asymmetrical design. This is definitely an example of that, where we have this covered wheel and different sides on either side of the car. Speaking of asymmetrical design, you will also notice that there is a lime green fender on one side of the car. This is unintentional. Like I said, I only had 3 of the normal green fenders. Speaking of which, well, we'll talk about the color after. And so I would like to replace this fender with a normal green fender. But ironically, this lime green fender ended up on an Instagram post from the automobile account of the car show. And so now I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't mind it. I'm gonna keep it around for a little bit. Speaking of the color, this whole car is in Lego, I think it's just green, which is not a color that Speed Champions are really built in, because I believe these fenders only ever came in one set where you could only get one of the fenders in the set, and it wasn't even used as a fender. It was used as like some sort of superhero vehicle thingy, I can't remember. And so they're pretty rare. And so I was very fortunate to get 3 of them to be able to build, well, most of a car. And like I said, I had to order 2 sets to just have enough green pieces to kind of sort of get this thing finished. I was really struggling for parts as I was building this with a very limited green parts collection. And so you'll see there's a couple places around here that maybe some parts could be replaced with more parts that would work better. But it does make it quite a nice addition to my small collection of unusually colored Speed Champions, as you can see here, as well as my collection of Porsche Speed Champions, which is not an intentional collection, but it's cool to have some various Porsches. Alright, that is it for this video, and that is the story of how I built the Porsche 968 Lart in Lego. Now, maybe, like I said, maybe a lot of people really want instructions for this, I'll make them, but I have a feeling that this is a kind of unique, I guess, model, and that nobody really will want to build it, but hey, who knows? Let me know if you'd like instructions for it. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all the support on the channel. I hope you might stick around for the next video, but if not, thanks again for watching. That sounded really serious, but you know what? I think it'll work. I have to improve these outros because they're all over the place. I guess that's it for now. Thanks.